That's crazy. Again, children are now rationalizing at this age. They're now beginning to understand what is happening. That is what I'm trying to encourage them. Don't criticize. Because again, that is still what? Their parents. 20 years, 15 years, 20, 15 years down the road, 15, 20 years, there you go. Down the road, after they mature, grow up, move out of the house, will they also see that person as their father or their mother? Yeah. They may end up moving away from you, and now you're looking at them like, what? That's where the anger starts up again. So now, children should never be used to mediate disputes between warring spouses. A lot of times I see this on the reservation. They use their children as pawns. Either that or they'll use their children as a means of gathering additional intel. So they're like, who is your father dating? Who is your mother dating? And the child's like, what? And they're put in that unique situation and they're like, are you joking? And the child's like, I don't know. And they feel like now they have to carry a secret. And so now you're adding an additional burden on their given lives. And so now the child's thinking like, oh my goodness, I have to keep a secret because I know who so-and-so is dating and I can't tell mom or dad. And now they're put in the middle. Or they say, which one do you, I'm the better parent, aren't I? I'm the better mom, or I'm the better dad. Remember that. When you go over there, remember I buy you all these different things. Now the child's like, okay. So they go over there, they never enjoy anything because now they're thinking all these different things. Because of this is the reason why me and dad, this is why. Now the child's like, what? Okay. So now, is it my fault? Adjusting divorce generally involves 6 tasks: acknowledging the reality of the marital rupture, disengaging from parental conflict, resolving loss of parent they aren't living with, creating a familiar daily routine, family traditions, resolving anger and self-blame, accepting the permanence of divorce, achieving the realistic hope for their intimate relationships, their own intimate relationships. Because as we're going along, what did we talk about? We said that one, it can lead to divorce. But is that a catch-all? No. Because now they're looking and saying, okay, I don't want to be like my own parents. They screwed up in their own life. I don't want to screw up in mine. I want to make better decisions than my parents. And that's where they're trying to look at the hope aspect. So a lot of times you have individuals who also go through divorce and they're looking at it like, no, I'm not going to make those same decisions. I'm going to wait. I'm going to have a better understanding. But the reality is also this. Children do better when the father pays child support. Yay, that's awesome. Why? Because now one of the big things is, even if you look at the laws, you have VAWA and VAFA. VAWA is Violence Against Women Act. There is no Violence Against Men Act. Violence against women is primarily the outlook of what? The outlook that there needs to be better assistance across the board. But we also realize that domestic violence also happens with men, so that's the reason why we try to educate on that aspect. But across the board, when we look at it, we're trying to make sure that the child has somewhat of a structure. But children who do not enjoy a good relationship with their non-custodial father tend to have behavior issues. So now, influence on adjustment, age of maturity, gender, temperament, psychological and social adjustments. The parent must handle the following issues: custody, marriage, remarriage, like child relationship with the step-parent. So now, family process. The quality of relationships between family members before, during, and after a divorce. This is one of the things we're always trying to prevent. It can result in a coercive cycle between mothers and sons because sons' behavioral problems cause mothers to react more harshly, which perpetuates the problems. So mothers' parenting tends to suffer from divorce due to increased responsibility. That's where we're kind of looking at that aspect too. It creates more stress, it becomes less responsive, warm, and more punitive in terms of the relationship. So mother now becomes less involved. Why? Because there's added stress, and we see that across the board. If you go to bashes, you see mothers yelling at their children excessively, and you see that across the board. And these are for single parent mothers, and you see it in different elements. So now, Younger children, more anxious and about divorce. So adjusting to divorce are more likely to blame themselves, school-age children, I think we went through that. So divorce mediation, that's one of the big things we're always looking at. So in most cases, the mother is awarded custody of the child, even on the reservation. Even if the mother is not the best choice, they will still give it to the mother. That's one of the big things we always kind of are a little weary of. Because a lot of times the courts are more beneficial, are more lenient towards who? Mothers. So adjusting divorce, why do we keep having that same thing? Okay, non-custodial mothers keep twice as much contact as non-custodial fathers and are less likely to break contact after remarriage. So even if they do remarry, they still try to make sure they have contact with the child. The higher the socioeconomic status, the more likely the father will be involved. So if father is wealthy, stuff like that, so there's a more tendency to be involved. The number of single-parent families has quadrupled, so you have a chance. You're seeing all these different numbers. So within that, you have a drop. So living with two married parents, it's green, it's slowly going down. Mother only, it's increasing. Father only, it's way down here. Living with no parents, primarily right in that range. And this was a census of, I believe it was 2015, that was most recent. So 1960 to 2015, you're seeing a drop in different elements. A drop in both parents being there, the reality being that a lot of people, individuals, they simply look at it from the element of, we don't need both parents, we can do things our own way, we don't need a label, but then you also see the impact to the child. And when you work with teachers, you also have teachers that express the same thing, but most parents, they simply want to turn a blind eye to it. So, 50% of children today are living with parents who are remarried, and 7% are living with cohabitating parents, while 26% are living with one parent only. So unwed. In 2004, over a quarter of births to women aged 25 to 29, and over half of births to women aged 20 to 24 were to unmarried women. Birth rates for unmarried women, 52.5 births per 1,000 unmarried women. Percent of all births to unmarried women was 41%. So according to the CDC, 4 out of every 10 children are born to unwed mothers. Nearly 2/3 are born to mothers under the age of 30. Census 2013. So teen pregnancies. And this is in Arizona. So this is American Indian or Alaska Natives. So this was back in 1991. So these were teen pregnancies. 2007 it dropped. 2011 it dropped even more. You're now seeing individuals now implementing safer sex practices. They're utilizing more condoms. They're utilizing more. They're waiting a little longer. And they're understanding that syphilis, STD, HIV, and all these different elements are a real concern. So now you're seeing a drop in pregnancies. So, step families. 1,300 new step families are forming every day. Sometimes loyalty to the absent parent interferes with forming ties to the step parent. The more children involved, the more difficult the adjustment. Long-term effects of divorce, so you have a chance. This is all over here, the father absent crisis in America. Yet individuals who have this unique outlet, or this unique viewpoint, the outlook being, you don't need a male role in your home. And the uniqueness is individuals who do not have a male parent in their home, what happens? There's higher rates of individuals becoming or expressing that they either go into what? Gang life, or they go into different elements. Why? Because they have to have some additional male role models. So that's where you have individuals going into this uniqueness, more likely to have behavioral problems, two times greater risk of infant mortality, more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol, more likely to go to prison, more likely to commit crime, 2 times more likely to suffer obesity, and 2 times more likely to drop out of high school. So, less than amicable split. Hopefully that's nobody. Hopefully. Divorce, she got half.
of the vehicle. So when a single mother remarries, there are some interesting issues. Boys benefit from having a father figure, but girls tend to adjust poorly. The reason why is the relationship with the mother is strained now. So adolescents tend to challenge the new step-parents. Have you ever seen that? In a family member or relative where somebody new has entered the relationship and you see the adolescents really just like, nope, I'm not gonna call that person dad, or I'm not gonna call that person mom. Nope. And you see this strained relationship. Again, that's where you have blended families. So you have yours, mine, and ours. When the father is a custodial parent and he remarries, he has problems as well. Often fathers are awarded custody of a male child because they already have issues. Male adjusts poorly to the new relationship because they have lost the exclusive attention of their fathers. Girls tend to do better because now they have a father figure. Interesting. Over time, things tend to work out in a blended family. Unfortunately, second marriages have a greater probability of ending in divorce. That's where you have individuals who divorce, remarry, divorce, remarry, divorce, remarry, divorce, remarry. I have some individuals that I know that have been in that situation. They divorce, they remarry, they divorced, and I'm thinking, have you not suffered enough? And they're like, I just love love. Love does not love you. I'm sorry. Maybe throw in the towel, that's it. Just stop. Because again, you're also putting children through the same type of trauma again. So now we have bullying. The past few decades, research has shown that bullying has initially increased. Now we have social media, so that's where you have individuals now bullying through social media. So you have to stop bullying, stand up and speak out. But we realize that that does not necessarily work on campuses. So there's two types of bullying. Rejected bullies are children who are bullied to victims, as well as lower status children, something bullying lower status children. So any child can be the victim of bullying, but rejected children are more likely to be victimized. So when I used to do a lot of bullying initiatives, that's what we're always looking at. See something, say something, but a lot of times most schools do not know how to handle bullies. So that's one of the big elements that a lot of parents end up coming across. So bullying, long-term bullying. Problems that can arise from exposure to bullying include low self-esteem, depressive issues, in addition to suicide. So that's one of the big things you're always looking at is the element of, can this lead to some level of suicidal ideation? And let's see, no, that's farther on. So work. Now you have students who understand the element of childhood development industry versus inferiority. Many children in these countries work in factories, but one of the big things we also have seen on the reservation, you have individuals who still are seen as the initial workforce. Initially they're looking at it and saying, okay, that's a child, they have a lot of dexterity, they're agile and all this and that, they can handle work. And the child's looking at it as, I'm still a child. And that's where you have injuries, additional injuries, that's where you have parents also reporting to health facilities, different work-related. So now you have media use. So children in the United States watch about 1 hour of television per day and a total of about 2.5 hours a day using all types of electronic media devices. So here you have 18 months or younger should have no screens. That's considered the outlook. 18 months to 2 years, limit screen time and avoid solo use. But that doesn't happen at all. Choose high quality educational programming. Again, you still have parents who say, if I can't watch it, why should my child? It's so boring. But then later on you have developmental issues for the child, and now through that they're saying, what is wrong with my child? Fix my child. 2 to 5 years, limit screen time to 1 hour a day. And you're also looking at what the child is watching. A couple of years ago, you had Grand Theft Auto. They were watching all these different things. And you hear the language. YouTube had a lot of videos on how to better yourself in all these different games. And so the child's watching that, and I've listened to a lot of different audios regarding it. And a lot of times you have a lot of cussing, you have a lot of swearing, and then you have a lot of the visual stimuli that is happening on the screen. And a lot of times parents don't realize what is happening. In addition to that, you have 6 or older. Place consistent limits on the time spent and types of media. And the reason why I talk about this is on the reservation you have a lot of different predators. Predators in terms of sex predators and all these different elements. And a lot of times they use social media to gain the trust of the child. And if you're not monitoring, they're able to also gain additional insight into the child's interaction. So now, how much screen time? So you have this here. Psychosocial risks, language delays, impediment with life skills, poor sleep quality, advertisement concerns, and physical health. And then you have this again. So now, how exposure to blue light affects your brain and your body. So the reason that blue light is so problematic is that a short wavelength that affects levels of melatonin more than any other wavelength does. Light from the fluorescent bulbs and LED lights can produce the same effects. That's the reason why we are always concerned about that. That's the reason why when you're trying to go to sleep after you've been staring at a screen, it's a little harder. That's the reason why even after you're staring at a screen, you go to sleep for 8 hours, you still wake up what? Groggy. So one of the things is it impacts your REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. So you have that there. The other thing is cataracts. Cataracts is initially where you have different filaments over your eyes. It can lead to different impediments in your vision. In addition to, some believe it even causes cancer. Obesity risk, depression, over the long term, not getting enough sleep can lead to neurotoxin buildup. That makes it even harder for you to go back to sleep, or to sleep in general. A lot of people are like, oh, that doesn't impact me, I'm good, I can just take whatever I need, a sleep aid. Then they become what? Reliant on that sleep aid. And you don't want children to start becoming reliant on that. Very scary. Questions? None? Really? Okay. Adios. That concludes today's class.
I got a question.
Yes.
On the video where you showed the child like organizing, placing the cards in different orders, you see that every time he placed the card in the beginning, he placed it faced up. But the lady went in and she turned it upside down again. And then the child got used to it and he started placing it face down afterwards. Wouldn't he have understood if she explained it more?
She's not supposed to.
But yet she still went ahead and wouldn't.
She wants to see what his interaction is. She wants to see if he's able to construct some of those things. So some of it, again, when I was looking at that, as I watched the video, are there things like tonal fluctuations? Yes. Are there things where she started to possibly change his interaction? Yes. But at the same time, one of the big things is as you're going along, you want to try to make it as neutral as possible. And again, she did flip it over again, and that's one of the big things is you're also noticing those things. So when you're noticing that, you also try to limit that yourself. So then you're also looking at, can you influence the child? Yes. And you're trying to make sure that you don't influence them. So again, there were some errors even on her part. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? Over. Do you guys know whose court this is? It's a Dell. Because this was in here last Monday.